So you've finally done it. You have your website finally up, or you've had it up for a while, but you're not quite sure, is there anything else I should be doing? We want to make sure that our websites are performing at its best so that it can bring in more visitors and drive sales into your business. So there are several aspects we want to be monitoring regularly to make sure that this is the case and that customers can still find you and that your website's in tip-top shape. So today we're going to be talking about the top 5 most important things to be monitoring on your website regularly to ensure your business stays on track and your customers keep coming back.
Welcome to the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Carrie Saunders. When we started this business, all I had was a couch, a laptop, and a 9-month-old. My main goal? To help others. Now, with over 20 years in the e-commerce building industry and even more than that in web development, I have seen a lot. I love breaking down the hard tech into easily understandable bits to help others be successful in their online business. Whether you're a seasoned e-commerce veteran or just starting out, you've come to the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of e-commerce together.
Welcome back to the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. Today we're talking about the top 5 things you should be regularly monitoring on your website to ensure it's in tip-top shape. Your website's just like your online storefront. Even with a brick and mortar business, you need to be monitoring and checking things regularly in it. So you need to be doing a similar thing in your online web store. They just come with a little bit different flavor to them though. So whether you have an e-commerce store or you offer services or run a coaching business, these are 5 key areas that you need to be monitoring to keep your website as healthy as possible and your visitors happy. So first off, we talk a decent amount on this podcast about website speed and performance. So this is super important. I can't stress this enough. In today's fast-paced world, we want to make sure that our visitors are getting our websites nice and quickly because that's what they expect. So you need to be checking your website speed on a regular basis. I would recommend this at least once a month because if your website takes too long to load, your visitors are just going to leave and get frustrated, very likely. It also helps search engine optimization to make sure that your website is fast enough because search engines take your website speed into account when ranking your website. So there's several free tools that we'll link to in the show notes, but some of them are Google's Page Speed Insights, and then there's GT Metrics and Web Page Speed Tests. So again, all 3 of those will be in our show notes for easy for you to find them. So those are great ways to figure out what is working well on your website and what might be slowing it down. And also the really good bonus to the Google Page Speed Insights is it gives you mobile performance as well. So there is a tab at the top for both mobile and desktop. So make sure that you're looking at both. And if you are having some speed issues, make sure that you are contacting somebody to help you fix those if you cannot do that yourself. And then the second thing you want to be checking regularly is your traffic and user behavior. This is something you would typically do in something like Google Analytics. Your website software may also have some analytics included in it too. So use whichever one you're more comfortable with because I want to make sure you're at least doing this. You don't have to use Google Analytics, although it can provide some great insights. So we want to be checking our traffic sources underneath this. So that we're talking about traffic and user behavior. And then within that, we want to make sure our traffic sources. We want to see where is most of our traffic coming from? And, how is it growing or is it, declining? Keep an eye on the different sources and how well they're performing so that if you need to change or adjust something from the traffic that is coming in. So if a decent portion of your traffic is coming in from social media, we want to make sure that is growing and not declining. Or if it's coming in from an organic search, so somebody searching on the web, on Google or Yahoo or Bing or something like that, we want to make sure that is staying consistent and we don't have any significant changes in how many people are coming in via those venues. You also may want to see if you have availability to look at the bounce rate and the time on the page. So bounce rate is whenever somebody visits your website and then just leaves and doesn't go to any other pages. So if your bounce rate starts increasing, then you know there's something wrong with either your messaging or the source that you're driving traffic into your website might not be bringing in the correct people to your website. So you want to be checking that regularly. Also, time on page. So the longer somebody's on your page, the more engaged they are with your website. So making sure that this doesn't decline quickly or have a significant change. We want this to be going up. That can help you understand whether the messaging on your website is off or if it's on point. And then number 3 is search engine optimization performance. This is something that I know a lot of people just kind of glass over and kind of ignore, but it actually is very important to our longevity of our businesses because we want to be driving people automatically to our website. And that's where search engine optimization can really help us. So we want to be monitoring our top 5 to 10 keywords at minimum and making sure that our ranking for those are not going down significantly. We want to see those going up or staying steady depending upon what they currently are. So you can use some free tools out there as well as some paid tools on checking your keywords, and we will link to those in the show notes. And then you also might want to be using one of these tools to check your backlinks, which are the links coming into your website from other websites. So this helps Google and Bing and Yahoo figure out what your what's most important out there and that these other people trust you and are linking back to you. So having a decent number of backlinks is very good. And then you also will want to be checking any crawl errors or index issues. So that's kind of a technical term, but if you use Google Search Console, there are some places in there where you can see if there are errors on Google being able to look through your website and index it. So that's what the crawl error and indexing really is about. So whether Google can look through your website appropriately. And if you get stuck and have trouble with that, find a trusted developer like us or somebody else to help you fix those issues. And then number 4 that we need to be checking regularly is website security. I can't stress this enough. I cannot tell you how many customers we have rescued because they didn't keep their software up to date, or they were passing around their passwords insecurely, or some other reason that their website was insecure and they got hacked and we had to rescue them. So if you're regularly monitoring your website security, keeping it up to date, so like say, for example, if you're on WordPress, we need to make sure that we're always updating WordPress and the plugins that you have and making sure any plugins don't go stale. And what I mean by stale is the developer stops developing for them. So that leaves the potential for security holes. We want to make sure we're always updating our website software. So if you have an e-commerce store, we want to make sure that software is getting updated regularly. Because if not, then security holes will be found potentially, most likely, honestly, and then people can start hacking into your website as soon as they figure out that you have that vulnerability. And that can really destroy a business, and I'd hate to see that to happen to any of you. So making sure you have regular updates. If you're not sure if your software automatically updates itself, then you can contact your service provider who provides you that software, or somebody like us, a trusted source that can look that up for you. And then number 5 is conversion rates. So this is a little bit more advanced, and I'm going to, let this be a little bit optional for you, for the newer people out there, but I want to make sure you're aware of it too. So if you have a new business, I want you to make sure you're aware of this. But conversion rates are very important. So basically what that means is how many visitors are coming to your website versus how many people buy in a certain time period. So let's say a week or a month, keep track of that, even if you need to do this manually at first. Say you're new with your website and you need to manually keep track of this, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can also use software like Google Analytics, which can help you automatically track your conversion rates. So that's a little bit more advanced technique, but having somebody help you set that up or doing the research yourself is a great idea so that you can automatically be tracking your conversion rates and making sure that those are always improving and getting better. Because when our conversion rates aren't good, then we know there's something blocking the purchase. So we need to then figure out, is it the content of the website? Are we not clear enough? Is there not enough information about the products or services? Are we not building enough customer trust? We have some podcast articles on customer trust too. So those are some factors that might cause your conversion rate not to be very good. And if you definitely see a significant drop in it, you need to be checking out some of the previous items we talked about on this podcast episode to make sure there isn't something there getting in the way, and definitely reach out to a trusted partner like us if you do need help with your conversion rates tanking, because we can definitely help you with that. And there's some other really good developers out there that can help you as well. So that's the top 5 things that I recommend that you be checking on your website regularly. Most of these, I feel like once a month is a good idea. If you are bigger and more established, then definitely probably more frequently, like at least twice a month or once every week is a really good idea. But it's definitely something to put in your routine and make sure it's on your calendar, because if it's not scheduled, we typically don't do it. So again, I highly, highly recommend you be checking on these things, because it really helps check on the pulse and the health of your website, which is the livelihood of your business. So that's all I have for this week's episode of the E-commerce Made Easy podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We would love to hear from you. There's a neat link in our podcast episode show notes on your favorite podcast player where you can click and send me a text message, and I'd love to hear from you. You can also email us at podcast@bcsengineering.com with any suggestions, and we will see you next week.